Welcome back to Manufacturing Matters Jackson, the first and only television show and podcast dedicated to supporting and celebrating the manufacturing industry of Jackson County, Michigan. My name is Keith Gillenwater, and I'm the president and CEO of Accelerate Jackson County.
And I'm Olivia Steele, Executive Director of JAMA.
So, Olivia, what is going on in the world of JAMA?
So, once this releases, the open house of AMTC will be done. We will have signed an articulation agreement with Jackson College, two both very exciting things for us.
I can't tell you how excited I am about that. As soon as I saw that email inviting me to it, the first thing I did was texted you and Jackson College saying, this is amazing. Thank you for doing this.
Yes. So we're very excited about that. And then obviously we're prepping for the annual dinner, which will be here before we know it, May 18th. So registration is open and will continue to be open until, a week or so before the dinner at the latest.
Awesome. You do put on a good annual dinner. I enjoy coming to it every year.
Yes. Well, it's one of those things that really just kind of comes together. But this year is very exciting because we keep talking about AI on the show and our podcast, and we have an AI speaker this year. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
So the other thing that we have coming up is we're going to start doing some AI workshops. So we'll have half-day and full-day workshops around AI for business and marketing and sales, customer service. So starting in June, we'll have those.
That's great. Are those open for anybody to register for?
Yep.
Awesome. It's probably something I need to send somebody from my team to.
Yeah. I look forward to them. So what's going on at Accelerate Jackson?
So always a lot on our plates. We have just spent the first couple of months of the year where we're not an event-driven organization, but we had events. We had our annual breakfast. We had a wrap-up for our capital campaign that I don't have to feel like I have to go out and ask people for money, which is awesome. And so now we're really into the meat of the work of not only the things that we said we were going to do at the capital campaign, but also just doing the work that we do every day. And so that's been great. We've got a little bit of travel coming up, some lead generation sorts of things, trying to, on the business attraction side of our organization. We're also spending a lot of time, a hot topic in economic development is data centers. And so we have been working to address a strategy around that as well, working with a lot of our townships and in communities, and then also working with Consumers Energy, a large partner of ours headquartered right here in downtown Jackson. And so just trying to come up with that strategy of what that looks like and just to shape so that we have smart development that occurs if it were to occur around that issue. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds exciting. A lot going on.
So we have a guest today for our podcast and for our television show. Do you want to talk about our guest?
Yeah, so today we will have Jake Sponsler from Orbitform. He is our first repeat guest on Manufacturing Matters Jackson.
Yeah, I am excited to talk to Jake. It's always amazing. I think I will probably inevitably talk about this on the show, but it's always exciting to take people out to Orbitform and take that tour because I never leave less amazed than what I was, and I always see something new.
Yep. You can always learn something different, I think, in a manufacturing facility. Yep. There's always something more.
Yep. So after the break, we'll be back with Jake Sponsler from Orbitform.
And welcome back to Manufacturing Matters Jackson. Today we have Jake Sponsler from Orbitform. Jake, welcome.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate you guys having me.
Absolutely. How are things going? So you are our first return guest. So for anybody who listened to season 1 on their podcast, wherever you get your podcast app, or on YouTube, you're our first return guest. So thank you for having that distinction.
Yeah, I didn't know I had that, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Glad to be back.
So tell us a little bit about Orbitform.
So Orbitform makes forming and fastening equipment and automation. So generally we're making the machines to help other manufacturers mass produce things. We service 20 different industries, so pretty much anybody that puts stuff together, that's the market we fit. So being in Michigan, we are heavily automotive though, so probably half of our work is associated with the automotive industry, but anything from snow shovels to medical instruments to bikes to firearms to things like that. We really can help just about anybody put stuff together.
That is a wide range of industries that you serve.
Yes, it is. I was like, bikes. I don't think I heard that one before. That's cool.
Yep. So, yeah, anything that can get put together, that's where we're at, and it really is great from a business standpoint and from an engineer standpoint who might get bored doing the same thing over and over again. It's always something different. So.
That's awesome.
So why Jackson County?
Well, I think that's part of that is proximity of the ownership. They were born and raised in Jackson County and love the community, but also the Jackson County manufacturing base is tremendous, and so it's just a good foundation to build a company off of. Mike Shirkey started the company in '84 with some investors in 1984, and we've been going at it ever since. It was started around a process called orbital riveting, which is a forming and riveting type of technology. Since then, we've expanded, and innovated into some different products, but all those things were founded by the talent and the people that are in Jackson and the different partnerships we could have around here. And one of them being, or two of them being, the JAMA and Accelerate Jackson. So that sort of environment really is just foundational for building the company.
So how large is the company? I mean, what does your employee count look like? When I think of Orbitform, I think of obviously going to your facility over on High Street, but then the more I talk to people, like you're very interconnected with a lot of other industries in Jackson County. So maybe just kind of talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we have right around 80 employees. So, I think that qualifies us as mid-sized, but it's still from an environment standpoint, it's a small, family business type of environment. Everybody has a pretty strong relationship with everybody else. And in the area, I think that allows us to have specific relationships with other companies. They're going to get a similar person. When they call, they're going to get the same person. They're going to have a long-standing relationship. A lot of the vendors and the different people we work with around the community, they're dealing with the same person they were dealing with 10 years ago. And so really, again, it's back to that foundation in the area and the different partners we can have. It's pretty amazing.
Absolutely.
So as we're talking about, manufacturing in Jackson, and I think I'm hearing that there's other manufacturers that maybe you rely on or help you as you're building out these machines. Can you talk a little bit about that and why that makes Jackson stand out? Because we do have the ability to work together so well.
I would say the biggest portion of it is that, especially in our industry, we're making custom machines. So it's a variable type manufacturing. Some businesses that are doing high volume, they have contracts that last several years and they know what their workload is going to be for a very long period of time. For us, it's, we might have a big machine order that comes in tomorrow and all of a sudden we have a lot more work to do. Well, we can't necessarily have a team of 120 people just waiting around for work to come in. That's not a real strong business model. So we, at times we like being able to do as much of it ourselves as we can, but we also still have to have those partnerships locally to be able to expand that. And we also, can't have all of the knowledge base or all of the skill sets needed for some of the things that go into the equipment. So informed, intelligent vendors that know their products in terms of some of the electrical and the controls components, partners in that, and then also local machine shops that help us from a standpoint of when we overflow our internal capacity or if it's something that we can't necessarily do in-house. We can't have all the machining or fabrication capacity or capabilities in-house, even though we like to have as many as we can. There's local partners that can help us out with that.
And I think that's really one of the strong suits of Jackson, right?
Yeah.
In Jackson County. And I think that's what kind of informed my questions, is because you seem so integrated into the community, and you talk to somebody and they're like, oh, we're Orbitform, we're part of Orbitform, or we do work for Orbitform. And so I think that's cool. One of the things I think we talked about last year when we did our audio podcast, the precursor to this show, was how you integrate AI into your operations. And your answer, I remember sticking out to me on your processes. And then the other part, just not only just AI, but also just that industry 4.0 types of improvements. Walking through your facility, I've had the pleasure of taking several tours through your facility and just seeing the cobots and things like that. It's that's something that's amazing. Can you maybe talk to that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, our biggest approach with AI is really just how is it going to take the really skilled people we have and make them more efficient? Because it's a tool that some engagement with the technical mind and technical people working with it is important, so that we make sure that things don't get off the rails too far. But also, we as a culture, we really want to push the envelope to make sure we're on the forefront. Because what we're doing is we're serving other manufacturers, and we need to make sure that we're doing it in the most efficient way, in a technology forward way, because a big portion of the way we go to market is making sure that we can be a informed reference for those other manufacturers. And if we're not doing it ourselves, it's hard for us to go in and be an advisor on, hey, you should buy this piece of equipment. It does this, but we don't really know anything about that because we've never done it ourselves. So there's a portion of that flavor to it where we want to make sure that when we're providing something to a customer, we have real world experience that we've done it. The cobot's a great example of that. We have most of our customers, in those different industries, they're all on a different automation journey, and there's different skill sets there. But most of them are starting to engage, if they haven't in the past, with robotics and different advanced technologies. And so, our low volume doesn't necessarily lend to robotics really heavily, but we wanted to engage with it so we could learn more and understand the use cases better and be able to just be a stronger advisor for our customers.
So we have a video that we took this week, and I'm excited to see the tour.
I'm Brian Wright, Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Orbitform. This is Orbitform. We have been in existence since 1984, and we've been in this facility since 1997. The whole building is 120,000 square feet with roughly 90,000 square footage for manufacturing, which we are out in manufacturing right now. We get involved in working with our customers starting here in this lab, right here, in a product development, and we look at understanding what the functional requirements are of the customer's part, and then based on what those are, we look at what's the appropriate core process that we offer that would be best fitting to align with their product design requirements. This is our impact riveting line. This process has been around for 80 plus years. So this is one of our newer product developments within our roller forming product line. This is our articulating roller form machine, servo driven. No pneumatics, it's completely programmable. And this is one of our first generation articulating roller form machines. The one that you just saw was the servo, this is the pneumatic. And this is the other half of our roller forming. It's a static roller forming head package. And what this does is comes down and as the head spins, it just forms this lip over. And it secures whatever you have on top. Here's a good before and after. This is our bushing, flare, and flatten. And it takes a bushing like this, like a no-glide bushing, and we'll flare it to 45 degrees and then we will flatten it. We have a Trump laser cutter. We can cut 1-inch thick steel. And we also have a Trump CNC bender. And both of these investments paid for itself very quickly in terms of our ROI. What we've also created, a new development, we're the only one in the world that does this. It's what we call our jaw lowering safety device. With this, this whole assembly says something's blocking my way, and the jaws, all of this electrical package is built within the jaws, so it's internal. Again, we're the only company in the world that does it this way. And so what the benefit of this is there's no external piece that gets in the way from the operator loading and unloading the part. So what you see from this northeast corner is our complete machine shop. We start out here with a tool cell, and this is a cell that primarily supports tooling for semi-truck brakes. And it's one of the companies that we purchased as an acquisition a few years ago to get into that market more from a tooling standpoint. This is one of our newer investments that's linked to supporting our anvil tooling build. One of the Mazak machines here that we have, 6-axis CNC. These are components, one of our core in our orbital and our radio. It's our spindle of our power head. And this is a casting of our power head, one of our models. And so this power head, when you hear me say power head, this is the core of almost every one of our core products. So when product comes out of the fabrication department or the machining, prior to going to the assembly floor, it goes through our paint booth. We do all water-based paint. We decided to invest in a couple ovens because we ran into some situations in the past where a $50,000 to $100,000 machine was waiting on a $150 tool. From a delivery standpoint, we said we want to prevent from getting into those situations and still be able to deliver to our customers. So these are multiple builds. We're providing an order of 3 and an order of 6 for our customers. And so we try to do it in, if you want to call it a mini assembly line, but building them all in sets. And these are all pedestals, floor mounted. One of the things that we added is you see on the bottom for the base is fork tube lift. Many of our customers have really appreciated that because the old school design has just had an eye bolt on top. We buy our boxes, of course, but the subplates and so forth, that's an example. We have electricians on staff that build all of them for our machines. One of our machines that are in process, just showing how we can put the power heads in any orientation. The majority of them are vertical like a C-frame press, but these can be mounted horizontal, and we come in and do dual opposed forming. And then the last area of our assembly is actually where it all starts for our power heads. We build all of our power heads here, and when we're done, we run them through X number of cycles to monitor vibration and testing. When customers have the confidence and they take the leap of faith with us to partner and to provide an equipment solution, we have a project management team dedicated to basically make sure that the machine is built to the customer specs and on time. And they walk hand in hand with the customer from cradle to grave of the project.
Well, Jake, you win the cake on the video with it being, 9 minutes here or 7 minutes. But one of the questions that I have for you is about that return on investment when you're purchasing equipment. Mm-hmm. And it's not something that we've asked on the podcast or the show yet. So can you talk a little bit about what goes into making those decisions and purchasing that equipment?
Yeah. It's a big portion of how we go to our customer base is really walking them through. And I kind of mentioned how each different industry is a little bit on a different journey. Well, some of them have just been buying small, simple machines, and they're easy to purchase. And now they're moving into, man, that machine costs twice as much as we've ever spent on something. And so from a sales standpoint, we have to be really educated on being able to ask the right questions of the customer and understand their business case for it. So it varies a bit with every customer, but there's some things that are pretty standard. And again, back to the way I talked about, we have to be able to, our experience helps us be in that role. We've purchased a lot of equipment. You saw it in the video. There's a lot of machines there, and each one of those has a real robust return on investment justification done. And we're using our case in the specific situation to say this is why this is of value to us and why we do it, and why do we spend that money. So we just apply that same sort of logic and trying to help customers and guide them along. So and that also helps a customer understand how automated they should get. Everybody talks about automation, but it's not the be all end all. It's the right amount of automation, and all of those come with different decision points on how you're gonna justify the business case for it. And so a big portion of our business for sure.
So one of the questions that I have asked on every one of our podcasts and on the TV show now is, like, what's the coolest project you've been a part of? I mean, when I walk through and go into your little museum kind of at the end and see all of the products and the wide variety of the things that you do or that your machines help do, it always blows my mind. Yeah. So talk about maybe one or two of those coolest things that you've done.
Okay. Yeah, it's a really, really tough question because we touch so many different things, but I would say the ones that I always find cool are the ones that I can kind of take with me and talk to my friends and family about, and they really connect with it. So it's more common stuff. Some from the geeky engineer and machine standpoint, they might not be the most complex machine, but they're a fun one to talk about. So we did an application that crosses maybe both those, where it was a multi-tool, and the customer was really, really concerned or really wanted to make sure that the pivot of that multi-tool on the plier portion was going to be perfect. They very tight window, very tight spec, and so the machine we developed for it allows for testing the torque of that and the rotation of that joint in process while you form it. So it basically has a closed loop feedback to make sure that those multi-tools come out with the perfect rotation every time. And so again, multi-tool, something easy to explain to friends and family. When I pull mine out of my pocket and go, hey, look at that, that's something Orbitform did. It feels, some confidence comes with that, right? So
awesome.
A second one I'd talk about is one that we're still in process of working on, and it's a collaboration with a company called Lightspeed Concepts. And it's a sand casting 3D printer. So it's a really technology forward. Again, it doesn't fit necessarily with our forming and fastening equipment, but we're the equipment experts on that, and it's just cool to be in that a little bit of a startup type environment, but also making something that potentially could change an industry or help change an industry. So that's been a cool one as well.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It is awesome, and I can't wait to maybe learn more about that 3D printer.
Yeah.
So Jake, thank you very much. Jake Sponsler, Orbitform. If you want to hear more and did our conversation with Jake, follow us on our podcast, and we will kick our conversation over there. So thank you.